If you are skinny fat or you're overweight, the worst thing you can do right now is go into a bulk. Let me explain. So we're back with the whiteboard. This is you, overweight, skinny fat, out of shape. I'll let you come up with a word, all right? I don't mind, but you get the picture. High body fat percentage, low muscle mass. This is a position that a lot of people find themselves in at the beginning of their fitness journey. And in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why I think bulking is actually the worst thing you can do if you are here, okay? I've broken it down into 3 phases, which I'm going to explain and talk and write as we go. So let's say you start your fitness journey out and you are slightly overweight and you decide to go into a bulk because social media will tell you that bulking is the best position to be in to put muscle on. Now, as much as that is correct, when we eat in a surplus, we are in the best condition and the best environment to be able to gain muscle. But a lot of us aren't ready for that. And the reason you're not ready for that is because your body fat percentage is already too high. So your body fat is going to increase. Where's my red pen? There she is. So your body fat is going to increase, okay? And your muscle mass will go up, but it won't be a straight line. Muscle mass will increase because you are eating more food, which logically will see you gain size and you will gain muscle. But what comes with bulking, which a lot of people sometimes fail to mention, is that your body fat is going to increase. So when your body fat increases, this person up here who already has body fat is going to gain more body fat, which is going to put you in my opinion, a worse position than you was already in. So as you're going through this journey, what I like to describe in phase 2 here is that you're digging a deeper hole. You're putting yourself behind the 8 ball is one other way of putting it. You're putting yourself in a tougher spot than you was at the beginning because at some point you're going to need to diet down. You're going to want to cut. Now, the body fat that you already had now has extra body fat, which makes that dieting process even harder. And so because you've made that diet even harder, that visible progress becomes even tougher, which is the final stage in this 3-step process where I think you're doing more harm than good. So as we delay visible progress, guess what happens? We get defeated. Your motivation dips. You look at yourself and think, well, I'm in no better situation than I was when I started. You know, you've gone through a bulk, your scale weight is going up. So some people will look at that as a win, but your actual overall body condition is actually worse than it was when it was up here. Like I said, your body weight will increase and you will gain size, but as you get into this stage here, that visible progress won't be as apparent because of the amount of body fat that you will be gaining. Now, one thing to remember, when we go through a bulk, you cannot go through a bulk without gaining body fat. But what you can do is slow the amount of body fat. It's why I like a slow process through a surplus phase. Increase your calories slowly, allow your body to use that food as fuel, and then train effectively. If you factor all those in, you should see good results. But obviously, the body fat will still come, but it won't be as much as if you do it aggressively. So, to summarize, this was you at the start. You've gone into a bulk, your body fat has increased, your muscle mass has gone somewhat sideways. You've gained some muscle, but it's not been maybe as effective as you wanted it to be. Because remember, we're now gaining more body fat. So you're putting yourself in a hole. You're gaining more weight, and as you gain more weight, you gain more body fat, so your position is even tougher. As you get to this stage here, you have delayed your progress because you're looking in the mirror and you're not seeing what the scale is telling you. The scale has gone up, so you may feel happy about that, but when you look in the mirror, the eye test does not win. So you're probably sat there thinking to yourself, Regan, so what do I actually need to do? Now the answer is not never bulk, it's put yourself in a position to bulk. Now I've spoke to many clients that I've worked with, many consultation calls, where specifically guys want to get straight into a bulk, but they're not ready. So what I highly recommend is you go through a recomposition phase. And I will explain exactly what that looks like. So a recomp is essentially, again, remember, we're talking about people who maybe have very little experience in the gym, very little experience with nutrition, and very little experience with any structure in their life. So a recomp phase allows you to implement structure, through training and nutrition. And I'll just leave it there. Obviously, you're adding structure everywhere else, but for the purpose of this video, training and nutrition, okay? In this phase, as you add this structure, you will see your body change, and it's likely from experience that your body weight will come down because you're now actually tracking your calories. You actually know what is in a bowl of pasta. You actually know what's in a bowl or serving of cereal. And as you get more structure in your training, we probably implement some steps and we add some cardio. Once you factor all that in, your body weight will start to come down. But the beautiful place about being here is that because you're at the start of your fitness journey, it's likely that your muscle mass is going to increase. So as your muscle mass increases, we then start to focus on progressing our strength training. Okay, so maybe you was doing 3 days a week in the recomp phase at the beginning, right? Training 3 days a week. So as we move through the progressive training, we're obviously looking at increasing our training days. We could maybe go from 3 days to 4, maybe increasing the difficulty of our movements, you know, trying to get more out of our training sessions. So here we're looking at focusing down on progressive overload. Okay. And then understanding our nutrition even more. So when I say understanding our nutrition, it's about how we can manipulate our food. So I'll give you an example. When we look at our carbohydrate intake, okay, one of the main things I do with anyone that starts working with me is that I get them to focus on their pre-workout nutrition as a starting point, because most of you are having shocking pre-workout meals, okay? When you look at your pre-workout nutrition, you need to be focusing on how it can improve your actual training, okay? So the last thing we want to do is going to our training sessions full, heavy, lethargic, and these are usually dictated by the foods that we're consuming about an hour to an hour and a half prior to you training. So pre-workout nutrition is essential, okay? You want to look for fast digesting carbohydrates, usually something rice-based. Fruit is another very, very quick source of carbohydrate that can usually sit quite well on most people. So that takes us into the third phase. Now, I just want to recap. Remember, this is still you, okay? This is where you started. Limited knowledge of training, body fat is quite high, low muscle mass, but you want to bulk, okay? So as we get through these first two phases, we then start looking at the longer term. And this is something I feel is quite overlooked, and it's something I like to do with all my clients, because I think showing you a roadmap of where you can be in 6 to 9 months is a beautiful thing, right? It keeps motivation high, it allows you to see the bigger picture, but it also allows you to implement some patience. So when we look at the longer term plan, this is where we discuss the bulk, okay? And it's coming full circle in this video, because we started off by talking about why you shouldn't bulk. Now I'm going to tell you why and when you should bulk. So let's just remember, we've kind of sorted ourselves out, okay? We've gone through a bit of a recomp. We've implemented structure into your lifestyle. You've got some steps to hit. You've got some nutrition goals to focus on. You've then increased your training output. So again, remember, you're going from a beginner up to sort of as close to an athlete as you can be in such a short time. We always want to be pushing ourselves in the gym, and we always want to be raising our standards. So that's what you're going to do here, okay? Remember, focusing down on progressive overload and making sure that you're carrying out your exercise with form, okay? Please don't let that word progressive overload cloud you, all right? I don't care if you can go in every week and increase numbers on a bench press. I need you to go in every week, connect well with the movement, and adequate form, okay? It's really important. Do not increase weight if you can't do that. So once we've kind of got through these two phases here, I then like to map out with my clients what the longer term looks like. And this is where we then look at, right, when can we get into a bulk? So after we've kind of gone through these two phases here, we've tidied ourselves up, maybe we've lost 5, 6, 7, 8 kg. Again, it really is individual, because I don't know what you personally need to lose. But once you've kind of lost that and you've got a frame to be able to bulk, this is where this phase then becomes really important, because we're looking at the longer term goal. So how long do we want to bulk for? How much muscle do we want to gain? How much weight are we comfortable with gaining? Remember, this was you were skinny fat up here, but now you've gone through these two phases. You've built some muscle, you're feeling confident, you're feeling good, but most importantly, you have structure, and you also have a blank slate to allow you to bulk, okay? Remember, you've got a frame that is now gonna allow you to put on body fat, because remember, when we bulk, you're gonna put on body fat, you can't put muscle on without it, okay? So as we do that, we need to be comfortable and accept that we will put more body fat on, But remember, we've already taken off a bunch of body fat, so we are in a prime position to be able to do that. Okay, so that is it in a nutshell, and that is exactly why I think a lot of you should not be bulking. So if you found that helpful, please drop me a like, please drop me a subscribe, it really does help. If you need any more help with this, or if you need any tips, any advice, please drop me a comment, follow my Instagram in my bio, and reach out and let me know how I can help. But hopefully you found it useful, and I'll catch you in the next one.